Welcome to the Days of Thunder NASCAR podcast with Cruz.
Well, we are very excited to welcome Josh Berry to the Days of Thunder NASCAR podcast. Of course, he is the driver of the number 4 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing. Now, Josh, you've had a very interesting journey to get into the sport. Can you tell us more about that, for being a bank teller to a NASCAR superstar?
Yeah, the NASCAR Cup Series is definitely a little bit of a unique one, but I grew up in Middle Tennessee racing, really from when I was about 8 years old. Throughout, I started in go-karts and raced for a number of years there in the Middle Tennessee area, and ultimately was able to get an opportunity to race for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in some late model stock cars in the Carolinas, and spent a number of years, upwards of a decade actually driving for him, racing late model cars, and then ultimately got an opportunity in the NASCAR Xfinity Series to drive for Junior Motorsports and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and that materialized into some good races that ultimately led me to the Cup Series.
Now, you mentioned Dale Earnhardt Jr. and how he's been so impactful throughout your career. How has Dale impacted your development as a driver?
Yeah, I think he's been, obviously he's been a huge part of my career on and off the track just as a person, and just learning and getting to utilize him over the years, no matter what I was doing. And obviously he's been a huge supporter of mine. And really, I think the coolest part, I think, to me about our relationship as I went through is that, really the further I got along in my career and the older we both got, and as he was kind of winding down his Cup career was probably when we began to get, closer and closer yet. And, obviously as I transitioned to the Xfinity Series, he was a great asset for me to support, and utilizing him was a big help, especially during that time. So he's just, he's been a huge part of my life, done a lot for me, and, it's just somebody I'm really thankful for.
Now, Josh, you had multiple teams wanting you to sign with them in the Cup Series. What was it about Stewart Haas Racing that made you want to be behind the wheel of their car?
Yeah, I think, there was a number of reasons for me. I feel like that just the culture of Stewart Haas Racing is just kind of based around racing, right? Like, there's not a lot of outside distraction. Really it's just a lot about just racing and the product that we put on the racetrack. Getting the opportunity to work with, my crew chief now, Rodney Childers, who has, a very accomplished legacy in the Cup Series and in NASCAR in general, right? I think that was a great pairing for us to work together that I feel like has really just continued to grow. So I think just the opportunity to work with him and that Ford team that has had so much success over the years, I think was kind of a no-brainer in my eyes, right? I thought it was a great fit for me, and it's been a lot of fun working with those guys and getting better each and every week.
Now, you mentioned Rodney, your crew chief. I know he was really trying to get you to sign with Stewart Haas Racing, but you guys have a similar racing background. How are you guys meshing so far this season?
Yeah, I think, Rodney and I come from very similar backgrounds in the short track racing, kind of the grassroots level with the, primarily with the late model stocks in this region. And Rodney raced a lot himself in those style of cars and had a lot of success earlier in his career before he transitioned into, a crew chief type role. So I think that, just our similar background has really connected us well, but, we just have a great respect for each other. And I think that it just made a driver-crew chief combination. We really speak the same language. I think he's a great leader. He knows what's important and what's not, and he's continued to just always trying to work hard to get better. And I feel like we share that attributes. And like I said, at this point, we're just battling, just time, really. Just we need more experience together, more time together, and I think the results will come.
Now, Josh, you've had some memorable moments throughout your career so far, but which ones really stand out the most to you?
Obviously my Xfinity win at Martinsville was a kind of life-changing moment. That was my first win in the NASCAR Top 3 Series, my first Xfinity win, and it opened a lot of doors to me just to kind of legitimize my career. I think up until that point, I'd spent years racing short tracks and accomplished a lot of amazing things, and a lot of what I accomplished back on that, really I look back on and I'm really very proud of that stuff, but it still never translated into an opportunity at the higher level. So getting that opportunity and then making the most of it by going to victory lane at Martinsville and then several races after that, I think, just really legitimized everything we were trying to do in that opportunity, and obviously eventually led me to the Cup Series.
Now, the Cup Series, unfortunately, doesn't have much off time throughout the season, but when you guys do have a weekend off, how do you like to spend your time?
Yeah, it just depends. Honestly, during the season, we really, seems like a lot of our off weekends, we find ourselves racing short tracks, right? I think Rodney and I have shared the common interest of that we went and have done that a handful of times. But Yeah, outside of that, obviously, I enjoy going to the beach. I have a 4-year-old. She loves the water. She loves the pool. She loves the beach. She loves everything like that. So we'll try to make a little time here and there to go do something like that, to unwind a little bit and get away from the racetrack.
The Cup Series making their return to Dover this weekend, a track where you've raced a few times, but you've had some success with a top 10 and top 15 finish. Josh, what is it about Dover that really suits your driving style?
Yeah, I think Dover's been a fun experience for me. Right, that's a place that I hadn't really actually raced at a lot, only a couple times. But even in the Xfinity Series, really each trip that I went there, we had really strong results. And I think it was just a place that just fits my driving style for whatever reason. Sometimes it's hard to explain why that really is, but sometimes we go to all these different tracks and they're all unique in their own ways. But sometimes tracks just come to you easier than others, and Dover's been a place like that for me that I felt comfortable there. It's high banked, it's fast, there's a lot of elevation change. It's a concrete surface as well, which we don't spend a lot of time running on. I think all those things just seem to fit in how I naturally want to drive the car, and it makes things come a little easier to me. So I'm excited. This is Dover's a favorite track of mine, probably the favorite track for me. I just love going there. I love driving the car there and attacking, and think we should, if we do all the things right, we can have a solid day on Sunday.
Now, one race we're really looking forward to here in Missouri is the Advent Health 400 at Kansas Speedway. Now, we spoke with Joey Logano last week, who has a love-hate relationship with that track. But, Josh, I know you've only raced there a few times. How do you and Rodney get some success at that track when the surface itself's really getting seasoned in?
Yeah, I think it's a number of things, really. I think Kansas, and especially in the era with the next-gen car, I think Kansas has put on a great racing product over the last couple of years. And I got to experience that race last year in a fill-in role, and it was, we didn't get the result that we wanted, but we raced really well, and I learned a lot throughout that opportunity. So I'm looking forward to getting back there and applying what I know now a year removed from that. And Kansas, like I said, it's its own animal. It's tough. You got to have a good race car. The surface is weathering in. That wears the tires a little bit more than some of the other places we go. I think that puts on a good racing product as we can kind of maneuver multiple lanes, and you see the track widen out to where we're running right next to the wall. So it's a fun one for sure. It gives you a lot of options as a driver, and I think if your car can stay under you for the majority of the race, then usually you can get a good result.
Now, Josh, you've got some great sponsors, including Sunny D, but how cool is it to drive the Sunny D car? I'm sure your kids love it, right?
Yeah, Sunny D's been a hit. They've been a great partner of ours this year, and honestly, they bring a great-looking race car to the racetrack. I think that sometimes it's overlooked, and throughout all these partnerships that we have, right, the bright orange and blue just really, does a great job of standing out on the racetrack. You can pick it out easy on TV. You can pick it out easy in the stands, and I think that's an important part of that partnership that we have. And, yeah, obviously, I have a 4-year-old, and she's definitely a Sunny D fan as well.
Well, Josh, thanks for your time today. We'll be rooting for you this weekend at Dover, and we look forward to seeing you at Kansas Speedway May 5th for the Advent Health 400.
Sounds good. Thank you, man.
Josh Berry, the driver of the number 4 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Thanks for listening to Cruise on the Days of Thunder podcast. Find out more NASCAR info at thebull1051.com.